What's up, internet world, and welcome back to the channel. This is the 2021 Cadillac Escalade.
So this 2021 Escalade is something of an art because when manufacturers build cars or even think about building cars, they try to figure out who's going to buy their product. You see, when you think Cadillac Escalade, you think basketball players, you think the mafia, you might even think big families. Maybe not. But this has a new entrant because with COVID, nightclubs have closed, hotspots have closed, and who's going to buy this Escalade? And the new entrant is wealthy moms. Yes, this is the unofficial vehicle of rich moms. You see, I'm going to say something right now that's really going to bother you. This does not compete against a Lincoln Navigator. Can I speak to your manager? Listen here, Karen. This doesn't compete with it, and I'll tell you why. Because at first glance, you might think, hey, they have pretty much the exact same starting price, and they even offer a long and longer wheelbase, just like the Escalade. They even offer a monochromatic version of it, just like the Escalade. But at first glance, Karen, I got you, girl. You need Pink Whitney in your life. You see, because when you and your girls are sitting at the country club trying to figure out what car you want next, you're gonna be thinking Range Rover Sport. And I'm gonna say, no, Escalade Sport. So you can get them in two main versions, the Platinum and the Platinum Sport. Now, why would anybody wanna buy this in the one that Doug Demore just reviewed? That is not a good looking Escalade in my opinion. That looks like a Tahoe. That actually looks like an expensive Tahoe that doesn't make any sense. There's only one way to buy this, and that is in this exact trim. I have to have the blacked out grille. I just don't like the chrome on this specific design of Escalade. It ties too close to the Tahoe, and I just don't know about this price point. Now, it's almost $25,000 more. I'm sorry, what? $25,000 more. What does it offer? This is a beautiful truck, and I can say that with honesty because this is a truck. You see, it is built with a body on a frame, and they have done improvements, which I've shown you guys in the Yukon video as well, and they've actually improved the rear suspension. Now they have independent rear suspension, but forget all that. This design is from the Escalade concept car, and what that essentially means is little tiny headlights and huge grille. And they've done exactly that. They've followed through with their concept design on all their models, and I really like it. And there's a lot of hate online. They don't really like this grille. It's too much in your face. It's nasty, whatever you want to call it, but I really love this front end. I really like these small lights and huge grille. The one thing isn't this supposed to be monochromatic? Cadillac has really emphasized, as I mentioned, these little headlights, is they've pulled through what is the most important piece of the car game today, and that is lighting. This has a light show like no other, almost as close as Audi. Take a look. All right, so I found my hat, and I also found the hood latch for this Escalade. This, under the hood, has a 6.2 liter 8-cylinder motor that makes 420 horsepower and 460 foot-pounds of torque. Now, the only thing that has changed for this motor in 2021 is it does have an active fuel management that can deactivate 4 cylinders, making it run as a 4-cylinder vehicle. Does that make a difference in fuel mileage? Not so much. When you've got a 91-liter fuel tank that requires you to put in premium fuel, that's just crazy to me. Why do you require to have premium fuel? This should take regular gas. Regular gas. Yes, it's a premium vehicle, but they actually share the same engine in the Denali and the Silverado. Regular gas. If I'm putting premium fuel in my vehicle, I want the Blackhawk engine. Don't you think? Or maybe the Hennessy version. 15K on this motor will give you 552 horsepower and 550 foot-pounds of torque for 15K from this exact motor. So yeah, premium fuel when I spruce it up. So what's 15K for buyers of Escalades to give you 550 horsepower? Hennessy, pump your stuff up, man. Let the world know. Let the world know. because they even offer an exhaust, a performance pack for this Escalade, and that gives you a catback exhaust and an air filter. Maybe you should add that 15K from Hennessy. But that's just me thinking about power, because if you want fuel mileage, well then, you've got the other option, because you can buy a 3-liter diesel in this that does make 277 horsepower and 460 foot-pounds of torque. So Cadillac does do luxury well. You see, they do put carpet on the inner fender liners. They do soft closed doors. They even have this really soft opener. There's no handle, it's just simply a touch. And it does have soft closed doors. It does close ever so gently. It does have, I can just swipe my fingers and it locks, but it doesn't do that in the back. Now, this is a $100,000 vehicle and it should lock here. You see, when I get into the back, now thank you for giving my step in. Awesome. But it should have a lock here. I don't want to go in my keys and lock it. I don't want to press this button from up here. I simply just want to lock it from back here. Makes sense, right? This is a monochromatic logo. And in my opinion, they should have matched the front to the back because those are in color. And check these wheels out. These are 22-inch wheels. Let me know how 24s look. So if you guys are out there with Photoshop, let me know how this looks in a 24. 22s just look a little bit too small for something so big. And speaking of big, if you looked at Doug D'Amour's last review on his Escalade, he had it in a non-sport version like I talked about earlier. This piece here is in chrome and it really just looks meh. You have to get it in a sport. This thing is so big that these are 3-foot lights from end to end, and they are awesome. This is the best part, in my opinion, of the vehicle, the back end. They do a great job. They do a great job integrating a few things. One is how to pop the trunk. Sick. Right on the logo, as opposed to having a button underneath. That is awesome. It does have height adjustables, so you can set the height. It can also tow 8,000 pounds. In the long version, the ESV, you can tow 7,900 pounds. That are exact numbers to the Yukon Denali. There's no difference. The difference being is, as I mentioned, this 600 badge, which is Newton meters of torque. But how do you guys like all the black? I personally love it. The one piece I don't like about it though are these exhausts, and that's probably why they do offer a catback exhaust, because these are fakies. They're half-Cs. They're half in, half out. They do have a nice black lining around it, but they are fake. It does have an option to pop this rear window, which is nice because a lot of newer vehicles don't have that, except this thing is so high. You've got to be 6'6". Well, hey, that's who's buying these things, I guess. Speaking of trailering, this does have an extended blind spot monitoring if you are carrying a large trailer. It also has a 2-speed transfer case that if this thing is being pulled by a motorhome, because, well, people that buy these things have motorhomes, it does have a 2-speed transfer case that you can disconnect and tow it behind so it doesn't damage the transmission. When shopping for a vehicle, one of the most important things to look for is making sure your family's happy. And nothing makes your kids more happier than Fortnite. So in order to put down the second row seats, it's simply just a handle that you pull twice. The first one to drop the whole seat down, and the second one you pull up, it just pulls up. There's nothing, no levers I gotta pull any other way, just 2 handles up, and then to close it down, simply just a push, and then pull up. In terms of quality, these second seats are great. Awesome quality all the way through, full leather, nothing feels plasticky at all. This is real leather through and through. I mean, the quality is awesome, and I think that's because the older Escalade was lacking some quality, but they've really stepped it up here. Let's take a look at these third row seats and see the difference. So I'm in the third row of the Cadillac Escalade, and this seat is pushed all the way back, and I'm 5'8.5", and I still do have some leg room. As far as shoulder room though, I am a little bit tight, so it'd be tough for 3 of me to sit back here. But this has the exact same leg room and headroom as the Mercedes-Benz GLS. Now the only difference being is the GLS has smaller trunk room behind me, where this has longer trunk room. As far as tech goes, there are 2 USB-Cs on the back here, USB on this side and USB-C on that side. So USBs are out of the game, because even in the center console there's 2 HDMI ports and 2 USB-Cs, but no USBs. So goodbye USBs. So this is really directed at people that have current Escalades. So how is the quality back here? And I can say it is excellent. It's exactly the same as the middle and the front rows. The only difference I could find was these seats are missing these little chevrons that are on the middle and the front seats. But in the future, it'll be crazy because the quality now is awesome. In the future, they're gonna have soda stream, basically waste baskets, and probably popcorn, you know, to see the depreciation. Lots of room to get in and out. I don't have to crank my neck to come down. Very easy to get in and out. So one interesting piece about these rear headrests is you can enter a navigation address in the headrest directly and send it to the driver. So more limo stuff. Address, send, driver gets it, driver accepts, and driver goes. So I'm in the 2021 Escalade now, and first impressions is this curved screen. So Cadillac says this is the first in the industry with this big 38-inch curved screen. Now, a couple weeks ago we had the Porsche Taycan, and it does have a curved screen, but it's only for the gauge cluster. This is the whole thing is curved, and it's pretty cool because two of the curved screens are touchscreen and the center one is not. And the center one has something that is out of this world, and it's navigation augmented reality. So when you pick an address in the nav, which you can in the back, and then send it to the front, but when it's set, you can actually have a pin that shows you when you arrive, and it shows these left. It's like you're playing Need for Speed Underground Racing. It is sick. Come check it out. Look at that. Look how it shows me I got to make a left. There's those arrows right there, and then now they're illuminating going left and right. So I'll pull in here, and let's see if we can see the pin. Now I got to go right. And where is the pin? All right, so let's go turn over here and see if we can see the pin. There it is. There's the pin. That's awesome. I just love how this shows you the pin. I got to take a picture of this guy. So we've got 7.2 on the side here. We've got 14 and we've got 17 inches. So combined, it's 38. And this is magical. Everything else is Cadillac that we're used to. You see this shift knob, this center console HVAC, the steering wheel, these cheapy shifters up here, lights and wipers, that's all Cadillac stuff. But this is new, and this is exciting, and this is why you'd buy this over the Yukon Denali. You see, the Yukon Denali, it has all the same underpinnings, all the same sizes, everything's exactly the same, except for the tech. So if you want tech, this is what you're buying. Now, I will get into the dash in a moment, but I want to talk about the leathers. The leather they have put everywhere. They wanted to really bump up the quality. The fit and finish is what they were really after. It starts in the front headlights, all the little specific niche pieces they have in there, but it also happens here in the glove box. It is fully leather wrapped. The second best part about this vehicle is the 36 speakers that this car has. They've put 36 speakers in every single motion here, but truth be told, somebody blew it on this car because this sound system sounds terrible, and there's no way that the sound system sounds this badly with 36 speakers, because they've even integrated into the dash. So I can tell you that this thing sounds phenomenal. And I read a bunch of reviews and I listened to some guys talk about it, and it was awesome. Unfortunately, we didn't get that experience, so thank you, journalists that blew it before us. Now, speaking of leathers, you can get these seats with 9 different designs and 4 different seat inserts. So it's fully customizable. And same with the dash, you can fully customize it, but forget about all that. It's about conversation enhancement. You press a simple button here, and when you talk, it amplifies your sound and your voice to the people in the back, and vice versa. So you're not yelling all the time, because me, I don't have a loud voice. A piece of the Yukon that I really like that this does not have is it doesn't have a sliding center console. You see, this center console is fixed, and that is probably for you, Karen, because that is where you hide your Pink Whitney in your fridge. Now, this is not an actual cooler. This is an actual fridge. You hit the fridge button, you close it, and it actually gets it up to fridge temperature. 2 more things before I jump into the dash. First things first, the seats. The seats have full massage, and they are great. They are awesome full massage seats that you can simply just touch on the side of the seat and it will show up on the display, and you can pick your different versions. And the second thing is that these seats have a back and a bum warmer, not just a bum warmer, a back and a bum, and you can separate them by simply pressing these buttons right here on the door panel. And lastly, I always love that GM puts a rear view camera in the rear view mirror. There's a full out camera that I can adjust and see, because this is so long, and if I actually look at the rear view mirror, all I see is seats. But when I pull this back, I have a camera that displays what's behind me. This is the infotainment of the vehicle that shows you fuel economy, average speed, timer, the incline of the vehicle, battery voltage, oil pressure. Now, if I didn't want to pull one of these items into the main screen, I can simply just hold this down. So in this specific case, if I want to do, let's say, call it battery voltage, I hold it down and it gives me the option to move it over. Now this does have Apple CarPlay and Android Auto that you don't have to plug in. It does mirror right off your phone. But if you look at the quality of it, it is really weak. This should really extend out. It does have a bit of an angle, but it's really small and it does waste a lot of the square footage of this screen. In my opinion, it should really just widen out and take the whole screen. The meat and potatoes is the center screen right here, but this screen to the left is almost as important because it does have a little slider that I can get my trip computers and then a blank screen. But underneath it, it does have different options I can pick. So in this specific case, I can hit the gauge button and it does bring up the gauge and it's very easy to use. Now the one thing people will use in the gauge is when they have Super Cruise along with the steering wheel. The steering wheel will be different. It will have sort of a green cluster right in the center upright of the steering wheel, as you'll see in this video. But the display is mainly used when you have Super Cruise. This unfortunately doesn't have it, so I will not be using this gauge. I will be using augmented reality camera, and this is where the meat and potatoes shine. I'm gonna show you this at night, and it is magical. It is also magical that it gives you night vision, because when you hit the night vision button and you simply look at it, you're wondering, what on earth am I gonna use this for? But this really works in the fog. If it's really foggy out, night vision is a deal breaker. You need to have it at night and when there is fog, because it can detect large animals and people at night way further than your eyes can see. I actually shot a video 12 years ago in an Audi A8 with my wife, and it shows how phenomenal that system worked then. I could only imagine today. So the only disappointment I have are how these buttons are laid out and what they do. You see, that is to raise the car and that is to drop the car. The only problem is you cannot have the car lowered when you drive. It is only specifically for entry and exit. I would have loved to have this vehicle to be able to be driven lowered. This thing looks so sweet lowered. Why would I want this thing raised? I know it's going to make the difference, but if I pass a certain speed, well then raise me up. But up to like 40 miles an hour or 60 kilometers an hour, keep me low. And speaking of drives, let's take this thing for a drive. All right, so I'm in the 2021 Cadillac Escalade, the land yacht of all yachts, with my 6.2 V8 with electronic limited slip, foot to the ground, and I don't know if you guys can see that. This display is so large that in order for me to see it properly, I actually have to move the steering wheel to a certain dimension so I can actually physically see the whole screen. Not really my driving position. My driving position would be lower, but then I'm blocking the screen. But this is no different than the Porsche Taycan because they have the exact same problem. So that's pretty much across the board. They can't really make a small steering wheel and a big center dash, or driver dash, I apologize. Foot to the ground. So if we're talking about performance, most people think that this is huge and it's just not fast 0 to 60. And that is partially true, but our most watched video in terms of when we first drop it has been so far the Kia Telluride. That has been dominant in terms of views initially. Now that does 0 to 60 in 7.1 seconds, and this does it in 6.1 seconds. That's a whole second faster, and for all my car guys who know, to try to get a second off of 0 to 60 time is not easy, which means this is actually pretty fast for what it is, and this is a yacht. Look how nice and pretty this is. Now, one thing that isn't easy is that the driver modes are in this weird spot. Like in the center here, they have a lot of buttons. They do have the start and stop and the keep you in your lane and the auto hold and all that stuff. But the driver modes are actually on the left side here, kind of hidden. And when I press mode, then it does populate over there. I don't know if you guys can see it. It says Tour, Sport, Off-Road, and Haul. So I'm in Sport now. Oh, Tour and Sport. Now in Sport. It's just so large and in charge. This thing gets looks left, right, and center because it's just so, it's got so much road presence. It is unreal. All right, let's go back in a Tour. I don't think I'm the type of guy to drive this thing in Sport. That's probably why they hide it. It's always designed to be driven in Tour. Now there is some reverberation back of the suspension at sort of a lower speed. So the smaller bumps do have some vibration. It's not totally smooth with these smaller bumps. The larger bumps, yeah, it's more boat-like. But the smaller bumps, I do get some reverberation back in the steering wheel. And I just don't know if it's the rebound rate or what of the suspension. Maybe it's a software change they can do, but yeah, something I noticed. I got the display right here in the augmented reality, and I do have the heads-up display. I also do have, if I have to make a right or a left, it does tell me on the right speaker if I have to go right, and on the left speaker I have to go left. It's not just all the way around. It actually tells you, so you're actually listening to it and say, hey, that speaker's going, I gotta make a right. This speaker's going, I gotta make a left. Pretty cool. I just love when you get in these luxury products that the seatbelt automatically tightens. This does seem to tighten a little bit more, and it does have a full roll of the belt, which is nice. It doesn't just give you one small pull. It just rolls enough until there's pressure back on it. Now, as you can see, this has become red because I am breaking the speed limit here. So I will slow down until this turns right there, and you can see it turns to white right there. Bam. Perfect. As far as the drive goes, when it comes to blind spots, I pretty much can't see anything when I look over here. It's all blind spot. Basically, the seat's in the way, the back seat's in the way, the seat pillar is huge. Can't see anything there. That's why you need to have all these cameras. The one thing I would have liked to see actually is something that Kia did really well, and that was when I put my indicators to go right, I actually have the camera that illuminates here. This thing has enough cameras, so why not show me what's in my blind spot? That's just simple. A simple software update should be able to give you that with the amount of cameras that there is in this thing. It's got a 10-speed transmission, which is the same as across the board for all these motors in the Yukon Denali as well, and it shifts fairly normal. Again, no one's going to buy this to be aggressively driving it. This is interesting. When I set up my keep you in your lane or lane assist on, I don't have any instruction in front of me on the heads-up display. I'm not sure whether the menu's set up that way, but there's only these small little lines down here that go from white to orange to green. Obviously green, now it's all on. So let's see how she rolls. This doesn't have a curb on the right side, and usually it fails like it did. There's no warning, so yeah, that's something they could improve on for sure. Again, so I think this is an all hands on deck type of vehicle. I don't think you just let go and let it do its thing until you get the Smart Cruise, which unfortunately this one doesn't have. One cool feature that it does have though is when I am backing up, and if there's a car approaching me perpendicular, zipping this way, zipping that way, and I can't see, the seat does vibrate. Along with if you are going to back up and hit something, instead of getting an audible tone, the seat does vibrate and tell you. So it is pretty cool because if a car's coming from the left side approaching me this way, the left part of the seat vibrates, and if it's coming this way on the right side, the right part of the seat vibrates. So it's kind of cool how they have coordinated the left and the right. Well, I don't know if you guys caught that, but there is a wireless charger in this thing, and it's basically just a sleeve that you drop it right in. So as soon as you push it in, it sort of gripples the phone, and then it shows you right here that it is being charged. And don't put keys or money in it, it says. Well, obviously, because if you put keys or money, it's so small you'd never get it out. So I've had this thing for a week now, and these headlights honestly blind everybody. Like, you sit like basically the king in this thing, and you're blinding everybody around you, because when I'm driving this thing through subdivisions, it lights up everywhere, and cars coming this way are all going like this because they're being blinded by how this thing looks. And I can't lower it anymore because that's only really designed for like entry exit. I wish you could just lower it when you drive, but obviously we went through that already and you can't. So not much complaining about that. Now in terms of road noise, this does obviously have some feedback, and there is some road noise to it. This does have 22-inch winter tires on it, so I don't expect it to be super quiet. But I also think that they are trying to make it a little bit sportier. So maybe the super yacht-like of not hearing anything is just not the way it's designed. Maybe it is designed to be a little bit more sporty. Who knows? I mean, people want sport, don't they? I don't know. Look, check this out. I'm going to put this in drive and watch these wheels move forward. That's drive, and watch reverse. They're not moving, and I'm moving, and now they're moving. And now they just did something funny when I went forward. That is crazy. So I'm testing out the backup and front camera with this 3D overhead camera they have here. Really weird. This is a black truck. This is a white truck. Strange. Now, if you want to see how good of a job this can do, I really urge you to jump onto the straight pipes. They did a great job on explaining this camera. They've done awesome takes around it. They did an awesome job. So if you haven't watched their videos on the 2021 Escalade, I really urge you to do that. But this has got basically wide overhead. It's got the side. It's got a trailer mode, which it does have, as I mentioned, extended blind spot indicator. It's got this 360. So it is cool. They have all this little merging inside. It's just really funny how they have a black Escalade with a black little box cut out here and totally the wrong trim. And then they have this great, awesome, you know, augmented reality right here. So there's a bit of a, you know, inconsistency. But hey, at least we got it, you know? Can't complain. At least we got it. One last thing I want to touch on is that they have an actual teen driver, so you can set a certain key up to have it set up as a teen driver, and then it does limit a few of the options in the car, and it does maximize some of the security or safety features the car has. And even at the end of it all, it actually gives you a report card for your new teen driver to show you how they've been driving, which is kind of cool. I mean, you know, if you want them to start off driving a $100,000 Escalade that is bigger than most cars and can fit a European car in the trunk, you know. Let me know in the comments below what you guys think. Do you guys prefer this? Do you guys prefer the Range Rover full size, the Navigator maybe? Let me know in the comments below. And if there's anything you want us to review, hit us up. All right, guys, thank you very much for watching this review on this 2021 Cadillac Escalade. If you guys like this video, please consider subscribing. As I mentioned, a very, very small amount of you actually subscribe. So thank you very much to those that do, and for those that don't,